speaker thing is moving a little bit. I'm wondering if you can hear. So we're hoping that it won't persist. Salam alaikum to all of the believers, and shalom shalom to all of our Hebrew friends, and greetings all around to all of the different denominations of people who may be tuned in this evening. We're very, very happy and thankful and grateful for your presence and for your participation. Brothers and sisters, just to let you know that the song that was playing at the beginning, this is a brother by the name of MCD, and this brother was literally blowing up the UK in the 1990s. He was just phenomenal, and I was listening to some of his tracks today, and I said, man, I've just got to play MCD because I haven't seen him for a while, but I'm hoping that he's still out there doing stuff and that he's going to do some new stuff as well, because that brother was absolutely phenomenal. I put him on the same level as a Carla and P.O.W.E.R and these other great rappers that we've got today in our community. And I'm hoping that as we go on in the future, I'm going to play some more MCD, because that brother is very, very inspirational in terms of his lyrical content. Beautiful brother, very, very powerful and beautiful spirit. And I hope that you were able to hear and that you enjoyed the lyrical content of what he shared with us. And so, beloved brothers and sisters, let's move into our episode this week, where we really want to explore yet again another one of these kind of topics that it's pretty in-depth and it's pretty heavy. And I can tell you again right from now that there's just no way, most of the topics that I choose to cover, there's just no way that that topic can be exhausted in any way or fashion, because they're big, big subjects. But what we are trying to do on the Imagination show is we're trying to really, just touch some of these subject matters in order to prick our consciousness, in order to really stimulate us to go deeper and to go further in terms of our research and in terms of, looking into some of these issues for ourselves and making decisions about, life and how we intend to go forward as a people. Because, unfortunately, brothers and sisters, we're living in a world where, some serious decisions are going to need to be made by the whole of the human family as we go forward, collectively, but individually. Everybody's going to have to really determine for themselves what their life and what their future is going to be like, because there are other people who, whether we really appreciate it or not, are maneuvering constantly behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, overtly and covertly, in order to really steer the people in directions that's detrimental to the health and well-being of the masses of the people. And so, I'm hoping that you will appreciate this subject matter this week, because we're really, again, asking the question, why we must separate. This is the question. Why must we separate? Because, it's sad, but I always remember this kind of dilemma that people face when it comes to separation. If you remember, recently Britain went through a whole, nightmarish scenario that lasted for a few years with this kind of Brexit thing, where they were trying to extricate themselves from the European Union. And we saw the type of problems that brought, where it split families down the middle, where all manner of crazy stuff happened in the country and is still going on in truth as a result of Brexit, because Britain wanted to separate itself from the EU. And, you know, oftentimes in a world like this, we still live in a world where we have abuse of women. And sometimes you get these relationships where the man is abusive. You know, he's abusive, and he beats the hell out of the woman behind closed doors, and she's wearing dark glasses and stuff like that. That stuff is still going on in, you know, 2021, rapidly approaching 2022. It wasn't left behind in the 60s or the 70s and the 80s. It's still a factor today where you have men absolutely abusing women. And I know I've seen a couple of documentaries where you got men in silhouette saying that they're being abused as well. But, you know, and I'm not belittling that, but I'm saying primarily it's men doing it to women. And sometimes, you know, brothers and sisters, what happens in those circumstances is that the woman's friends or family members, they will know that something's going on. They'll see it, and they will advise the person, look, you know, you really need to get out of this relationship. You need to leave this person, because if you don't, this person is likely to kill you. And you know what happens quite often in those situations? She won't leave. She won't leave. She will try and make excuses for him. And, you know, he only beats me on Fridays when he gets drunk from the pub or whatever. You know, all manner of things happen where people, I don't know if it's that Stockholm syndrome or whatever, where people become so victimized that they actually can't pull themselves out of the situation. And so we're asking about separation. And believe me, I'm using those scenarios because I know for many of us as a people, the thought has not even entered into our minds. It's not even a thought in truth, this idea that we're going to separate ourselves. And by the way, you know, oftentimes when people want to talk about the Nation of Islam and, you know, what we believe or whatever, they like to throw this word out there that we're segregationists, you know. But no, brothers and sisters, you know, in the word segregation, there is a power component involved in that process, whereby the segregator is one who has power to be able to relegate somebody to a ghetto or relegate somebody to a corner of the room. That's segregation, see, and that's not what we talk about in the Nation of Islam. What we talk about in the Nation of Islam is a husband and wife scenario, an abusive relationship scenario where Black people have been abused for the last 400 plus years in the Western Hemisphere, in the world of the white man. And what we're saying is, like the abused woman who finally comes to her senses, if we really can't get along, and if this thing is going to continue, where if you go back to the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, you see we're protesting, we're demanding justice, and all the rest of it, come right up to the present day, saying it's still going on. It doesn't change. And the latest episode in this country now, you got the cricketers, all the Black cricketers and the Asian cricketers now confessing that all of their cricket life, they've been abused, racially abused in the dressing rooms and in other elements of the game or whatever. And this is like a big scandal right now. But whether it's football, cricket, doesn't matter. In the boardroom, this is the reality that faces us as a people. And it's very, very serious business. You know, you see some of our people out there, man, we got some beautiful smiling faces, whatever, but we are subject to a horrible, horrible set of treatment that many of us hide and pretend it's not really happening. And we're hoping against hope that somehow the abuse is going to stop, it's going to change, and we're going to be able to fit ourselves in to a square hole when we are a round peg, and the round peg don't fit in the square hole. And this is why we're looking at this subject today, brothers and sisters, and we're asking the question about separation. So if we go to the book of Revelations, chapter 8, verses 4 to 5, that scripture says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." See, this is an instruction to a certain people to come out of her. And, don't get spooky about the her, again, oftentimes, if you understand Rule Britannia, it's a she, okay? And if you understand the great whore of Babylon, it's a she, okay? And so, countries are more time referred to in the feminine. And so the scripture is saying, come out of her. That's why Britain said to us, after they colonized us and enslaved us and did all manner of evil to us, they said, oh, we are your mother country, okay? Mother country. And so this is why the scripture says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people." See, which people? God's people. We are the people of God. And one of the things that I'm going to be constantly doing on the Imagination show is talking about God. See, brothers and sisters, maybe next week there's a subject I'm thinking about doing, but we got a real problem as a people if we are devoid of God. If we don't understand that a fundamental part of the nature and the character of the black man and woman is God. And when we are devoid of God, we're in deep, 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 deep trouble. And so, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that this COVID-19 is a pestilence from heaven. And if you read about the children of Israel, and when Moses came to Pharaoh and demanded of him to let my people go, when he refused, then Egypt was plagued. And you got to understand why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan consistently tells us, watch the weather. Watch the weather and just watch and see the unraveling of this system and the end of this world as we know it, brothers and sisters, because it's plagued. And we, as a people, have got to be careful that we're not recipients of or partakers in their sinful behavior, because, we're wrapped up, man. We're wrapped up in it. And I know some of us think that we are, separate from it or whatever, but you got to check your life and ask yourself, who do you work for? Where do you live? What's your neighbor like? Where do you go? Where do you socialize? What do you watch on the TV? Because again, I was skipping through the channels the other day, and I came across this thing called Gogglebox. And I'm saying, my God, man, they got black families on there, and they may as well be white people. Just our expression, just the way we are, just the way we talk in front of the TV. I'm thinking to myself, who talks like that to the television in front of? I know black people talk to the TV, but on a black level, like our mothers, our parents used to say, warn the star of the show that he's about to get killed. Watch out, the man will kill you. Yeah, you understand? I understand that, but just our expression now, my God. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan refer to us one time as black white people. And many of us, that's exactly who we are now. We're black white people. We're no longer who we were. And I'm saying, beloved family, verse 5 of this scripture goes on to say, "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities." See, I know we may want to think on a personal level about the things which have been done to us, which is fine. We should personalize it. But understand this, brothers and sisters, because many of us, we're very, very forgiving, okay? when that guy went into the church in America and shot and killed, I think, about 9 black people in a prayer service, before the blood could dry on the church floor, you had black people coming out saying, "We forgive him." The guy had not even properly charged or even made any kind of confession or said anything himself, but we were ready to forgive. We're not like that with each other. We're not like that with people who look like us. We're very much like that with everyone who doesn't look like us. And so we may want to forgive, brothers and sisters, but you have to understand that God, I think I said this last week, God is not mocked. And he don't forgive. He says that their sins have reached unto heaven. In a scripture, there's another scripture where it says that it stinks in the nostrils of God, because, by the way, God's got nostrils, okay? God's a man, real, supreme being. He's a human being, but supreme among the human beings. The wisest, most intelligent, most omnipotent and omnipresent being in the universe, God. And he's angry, brothers and sisters, whether we are or not. And the scripture says, God hath remembered her iniquities. This world of inequality that we live in, where, you know, you got people, man, they got so much money, they could never in 10 or 20 or 30 lifetimes spend that money. And you got another person who literally is wondering where the next scrap of food from a bin is coming from. And as far as this world is concerned, it intends to continue that trajectory, okay? Not like anybody's trying to mend that or heal that or bring some semblance of fairness to this world. No, brothers and sisters. People are to be ground into the dirt. And so, you know, this is where we are. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this movie. But I actually, when I saw this picture and I saw the film, you know, it's such an appropriate picture. And you could read so much into this brother's face, my God, man, because it's like terror, it's sadness, it's confusion. There's so many different emotions, disbelief that you can see, because, see, most of us, like I said, we really trying to convince ourselves that where we are, it's okay. But the film is saying, get out, because where you are is not okay. And there's some stuff going on that you know nothing about. And were you to know what was really going on, what really happens undercover, you would not believe it, brothers and sisters. You know, we live in such a corrupt world. I remember when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was being interviewed one time. I'd like to play that interview one day. And this interviewer had the audacity to say to the minister that Nigeria was one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. And the minister lost it on him, man. Had to beat him up, not physically, but metaphorically. He gave him a good spanking and reminded him of where the real corruption lies. And that's America, that's Britain, that's the West. Did you know that all these African leaders who steal money from the countries, do you know that they couldn't do that unless there was a Swiss bank account waiting for them, or the City of London waiting for them, or somewhere in Paris waiting for them to store that stolen loot? Come on, man. You know, we really get it twisted and get it confused about the reality of where all of this stuff stems from, and who is the real corrupted one, who is the real evildoer on this planet. And of course, I can't blame you, because they style themselves as, you know, a people who are so wonderful, so pure. You understand what I'm saying? So of course, if we're not looking deeper, then of course we can easily, very easily fall for the okie doke. And so, you know, brothers and sisters, this is such a horrifying image that speaks volumes about the condition of the black man and black woman in the white man's world. Okay, it's like, it's just, you know, for me, that face is a face that many of us have made, and many of us have seen, and many of us will see again in the future. And it may very well be our own face in the mirror if we're not careful, because, you know, we're in something that we actually need to get out of. Okay, that's my point. We do need to extricate ourselves from a place and a condition that we're in, because that place and that condition is not conducive. It's not good. And, you know, there are, again, when you talk the way I'm talking, again, I know many of our people, we get, man, you know, well, this separation, whatever. But, you know, the separation of black and white is a long-standing issue, beloved family. And it's been predicted and spoken of by the prophets and messengers and written about by contemporary authors such as Andrew Hacker and many others. This is not something that Leo Muhammad is just plucking out of the air. It's an ongoing problem. I mean, you know, of course, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the number one who really speaks on this, because he's the one who is the foundation of everything that I'm saying right now. He and his minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But make no mistake about it, this book by Andrew Hacker says 2 nations, black and white, separate, hostile, unequal. This is the reality of the relationship that is on this planet right now. And because you can't see all of the evil that has been done to our people right now on the continent of Africa, right now in Central and South America, right now in the Isles of the Pacific, brothers and sisters, right now in Haiti and in other parts of the Caribbean. I mean, horrendous things right now in North America, and right now, right here in the so-called United Kingdom. Black people are really suffering. And just because, you know, you as an individual may have a nice bank account, you may have a nice flat or a nice house and some greenery around your place where you live or whatever, and you don't necessarily take the time to look at the reality of the condition of our people, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And, you know, this Caucasian man, he's aware. That's why he's writing this book and basically breaking down the disparity in the reality, the hostility, the separateness, the unequalness between these 2 colors of people, these 2 cultures of people, these 2 diversified people on the planet. So, brothers and sisters, if you go to the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 31 to 46, it says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory. And in the Nation of Islam, we teach that God has come. Master Farad Muhammad. This is our core belief, that God has come. And this is why, if you want to know why we're able to speak the way we do, why we are so self-assured about these issues, again, it's because somebody didn't just go to bed and wake up with an idea. This is codified throughout the scriptures. This is indelible part of the indelible history of humanity. It's a big deal, brothers and sisters. And so the scripture says, when the Son of Man shall come, and he's the Son of Man, okay? The Son of a man, not a spook, come in his glory and all the holy angels with him. I mean, I'm not going to keep stopping, but again, let me just say this one thing about angels again, because again, you know, they've so misguided us that we're imagining angels. I remember talking to some Orthodox Muslim in Hyde Park one day, and he started describing angels, and they got 4 wings. And I'm like, you know, and this is a grown man with a big beard, and I'm thinking, my God, man, come on, come on. Did you know that nurses are called angels? When somebody does something beautiful for you, say, oh, you're an angel. It's just a human being. But somebody who is just beautiful, somebody who's just good, somebody who cannot disobey God because of their character, their nature. That's an angel, brothers and sisters. But they're men and women. Okay? Did you know you got some death angels? Yeah, God's got those too. Havoc wreaking angels. He's got them. These are war angels. These are the ones who came to Sodom and Gomorrah. Now understand this, brothers and sisters. The white man's got his angels. He's got hell's angels. He knows. See, you may be confused, but he knows who he is. And I saw some, it's quite strange actually, because I thought hell's angels had disappeared, but I saw a whole group of them just the other day with their patches on and whatever, riding with their hands all the way up here on their bikes and whatever, with their big beards and the beards blowing in the wind and whatever. You know, hell's angels, man. You know, nowadays, I think they're supposed to be more of a kind of benevolent society or whatever on 2 wheels, who knows? But back in the day, they would be taking a chain to civilians and doing some harm to a lot of people, you know, according to how it was reported. Brothers and sisters, it says, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. This isn't the nation of Islam. What we teach is not something off on the side somewhere, beloved family. This is to do with the members of the human family and all nations, okay? Not the nightclub, all of the nations of the earth. They're going to be gathered, not literally like that, but he will be dealing with all of them in good time. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. Sheep and goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Again, this is not talking about livestock. It's talking about human beings with particular types of characteristics. You need to study the goat and the goat's characteristics, and why is it that they use the goat when they're depicting Satan. It's deep, brothers and sisters. And why is it that they use sheep when they're depicting the people of God? That's why the Christ, the Jesus is called the Lamb of God. Very, very intriguing and poetic language that's used in the scriptures, but it just needs to be understood, and we need to get away from the spookism, okay? Beloved family, did Moses separate the children of Israel? Or did he attempt to defy the instructions from God and integrate them into a system of persecution and enslavement under the rule of a wicked Pharaoh? I mean, think about it, beloved family. Moses wasn't an integrationist. He came with a clear instruction, even though he had trepidation, because again, remember, a lot of the children of Israel, they didn't want to separate, they didn't want to go. And when they eventually did go out, they were moaning and groaning, complaining to Moses because the food wasn't what they were used to, and you name it. It was crazy. But the brother came and said to Pharaoh, let my people go. Well, brothers and sisters, we've been given a similar instruction today. This is the same scenario. Just like the children of Israel were under a wicked ruler, a wicked and barbaric and tyrannous leadership in that time and in that dispensation. Come on, man. You know, look at black people. I'm always amazed when I look at us on the TV saying no justice, no peace, hands up, don't shoot, kneeling down in front of these people, expecting some kind of mercy or benevolence. No, brothers and sisters. Did you know that when you kneel down to these people and you beg them that they're all of their instinct is to do more harm to you. These people don't respect that, brothers and sisters. I know you think you can change them. Martin Luther King thought he could love them into changing. And when I say them, you know, I know your neighbor, that white man or that white woman, they've been good to you and they're nice people. I'm not even really talking about them, to be honest with you. When I say them, I'm talking about the powers that be. I'm talking about those who are giving the orders to the police, those who are giving the orders to the military, those who are forming the policies that are designed to entrap people and keep people in a place that is not good for those people. I'm talking about those merchants of death in the food industry who put ingredients in the food designed to absolutely cause harm to the human body, causing cancers and all manner of tumors and different types of ailments. That's what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. So I don't want you to think I'm picking on your friend, your personal friend. All I will say to your personal friend is if the cap fits. See, but everybody has an opportunity today to be good. And remember, I said a couple of weeks ago, the word good is the word God. Everybody has an opportunity today to be more like God, to be more good. We can't justify doing evil today and thinking that somehow it's going to stand. Not going to stand. We're in a different day today, dear beloved brothers and sisters. On page 204 of this book, Message to the Black Man, in bold words, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes, "It is far more important to teach separation of the blacks and whites in America," I put in there in brackets, UK, than prayer. Think about this now. It is far more important to teach separation of the blacks and whites than prayer. And brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. Prayer is critical. Prayer is so important in terms of our spiritual connection with the God within, that it's something that should not be negated. But listen to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He says that separation is more important. See, because you got to understand that whilst we are interlocked, whilst we are immersed in somebody else's reality, somebody else's world, and we can't see anything for ourselves, we haven't got any vision of our own imagination, we haven't got our own way of looking at things, because all of the narrative that we're getting or taking, we're getting it from our open enemy. It makes it extremely difficult, almost impossible, because there is no impossible today, almost impossible for us to be truly liberated, for us to be ever truly free, for us to ever become the nation that we once were, if we cannot separate ourselves. And that separation has to begin here. It's a mindset, man. You see, it's not just a physical thing where you go from one place to another away from somebody. No, it's up here, brothers and sisters. It's mental, okay? And then eventually, yeah, it's also physical. And so, you know, our brother, Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I fear I may have integrated my people into a burning house. Integration certainly did not serve us well. In our haste to not be separate, we overlooked the value of equality, even if separate." Think about that statement, you know, because, you know, what do you hear about Dr. Martin Luther King? "I have a dream." Stop it. Stop it, brothers and sisters. If Allah spares my life, I want to give you some things from Dr. Martin Luther King which will blow you away. That man, especially towards the end of his life, that man was absolutely a revolutionary. And he was phenomenal in terms of his exegesis on the the type of system and place that his people were in. And this was part of his realization when he made this statement. He says, I fear I may have integrated my people into a burning house. Integration certainly did not serve us well. In our haste to not be separate, we overlook the value of equality, even if separate. See, because again, going back to what I was saying earlier on about that couple, separating because they cannot get on, because he's an abuser. See, when they separate, he may leave and go into a flat, or he may leave and, or he may stay in the house, or she may leave and go into a flat. But you see what it is about the separation, which is different to segregation, is that when people separate, they're still equal. They still have their rights. They still have their integrity. They still have their sense and wherewithal about themselves to be able to just go and live in a separate and different place, where they're not subject to the other person, where the other person can't impose on them or intimidate them or do anything negative to them. That's the beauty of separation, brothers and sisters. And you know, in the world of marriage in this world, which mostly is the world of divorce, now they have these prenuptials and they have these situations where, you know, it's like half, they split things down the middle or whatever. That's how it's supposed to work. Sometimes, unfortunately, they try to do that with the children as well, and that doesn't work. But the point is that, you know, we can be separate and equal. And what Dr. Martin Luther King recognized was that there was a value in equality, striving for equality in a separate reality, you know, rather than this integration that they were rushing towards. And, you know, if you look at the kind of people who surrounded our brother, you know, in the end, it didn't really help him and it didn't preserve him. Okay, brothers and sisters, according to Carter G. Woodson, by the way, I hope you like my my t-shirt. This is my P.O.W.E.R t-shirt. This is my Proud to be Black t-shirt. And we have these merchandise. We've got the hats, we've got the cups, we've got so many beautiful pieces of merchandise. I'm hoping that I'll have, you know, something to wear, not necessarily every time, but each time to showcase. And eventually, like I said, I will give you some information where you can go and purchase some Proud to be Black merchandise for yourself, because in the end, when you purchase this merchandise, you're helping us to secure finances that we want to use for our own building, for our own school, that we can help to educate our people. Because again, separation means you can't keep putting your child in that place where you went, and you remember what it was like when you was in the school. You had such a terrible time in the school, and now we turn around and send our child into the same environment. We haven't told them anything about really what happened to us while we were going through that, and we're expecting them to come out and do so well. And I'm telling you, when your children do well in these environments, man, it's not because there's anything good about that environment necessarily. It's because your child is probably a prodigy or a genius, or your child has just got that ability to survive and to thrive, okay? Don't ever think that these systems were ever designed or set up to do anything of a positive nature, of an uplifting nature for our children. So Carter G. Woodson, in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, in the first chapter entitled The Seats of Trouble, he writes, the educated Negroes have the attitude of contempt towards their own people, because in their own as well as in their mixed schools, Negroes are taught to admire the Hebrew, the Greek, the Latin, and the Teuton, and to despise the African. Do we appreciate, brothers and sisters, how subtly we are taught to despise Africans and despise Black people and despise our own selves, leading to a form of self-hatred? And most of us don't even appreciate that we are indoctrinated in that way. And we you know, they talk about with white people, they're talking about unconscious bias. What about our own unconscious bias against ourselves as Black people? You know, I was born on the island of Jamaica, and I came from a very beautiful, well-to-do kind of family who, you know, there was no poverty or nothing like that. We were good in Jamaica. And within 3-4 years of being in this country, I mean, without going deep into it, but within that time frame, as a Black boy coming out of a more or less solid Black country, that island of Jamaica, having no concept of inferiority and things like that, just really feeling like, yeah, I could maybe do stuff and achieve stuff. I can remember looking in the mirror one day in the UK and asking God, why did you make me black and ugly? That's how invasive the indoctrination of white supremacy was in my young mind, where there was a point where I began to question my own looks. I began to question my own being. I began to doubt that I was this young, confident person that I used to be when I was in Jamaica, because of the environment. And many of us don't necessarily appreciate how we're bombarded in so many different ways to love other and to hate self. It goes that deep. And you talk to some of the sisters, I've had conversations with my wife, she's told me about the days when they used to be putting like stockings on their hair, you know, trying to like long hair or whatever. And again, even this thing where, you know, a lot of Black sisters literally became convinced that their hair couldn't grow long. Okay, and so, you know, in Africa in particular, they cut it all off and stuff like that. But a lot of sisters here, they would literally believe that their hair cannot grow long, and that long hair is the parlance of Caucasians or Asian people or other people, but not for Black people. And so because of that belief, they would then do things to their hair that would really mess up the hair, ruin the hair, all this burning and stuff that we do, all the chemicalization in the hair, not appreciating that that stuff is right on the scalp, man. That's where your brain is. And everything you put on the skin goes into the skin. The skin is the biggest breathing apparatus on the human being. Okay? But now, like for instance, with my wife's hair products, see, the amount of sisters that I've seen now, they're using the hair products, their hair is just growing. They've got long hair. And you could have always had long hair, but it's just that, again, the system indoctrinates us in such a way that we think that's not for me, that's for somebody else. But we, as a people, we can have long hair. Okay, just like you see the Rasta man, he's got his hair, you just let it grow and take care of it, wash it and clean it the right way and not burn it up and chemicalize it, whatever, it will grow, brothers and sisters. That reminds me, there's a hairdresser's in East London that I drove past one day, and it said on the hairdressers, it will grow back. And I thought, wow, I had to laugh. I thought that was an interesting title for hairdressers. So how did we come to be so miseducated, brothers and sisters? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, listen to the question that he asked us. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked the question, if a man won't treat you right, what makes you think that same man will teach you right? If you look at the images, here you got a white man beating Black people with a whip. And then you got the same white man now, he's teaching the Black boy. See, brothers and sisters, I know we think, oh, it's all changed, you know, he's not like that. Let me tell you something. Do you know how many of these white teachers teach our children and they're terrified of them? Terrified, literally, yeah. Especially if they've got any kind of girth or size on them. I'm telling you, man, brothers and sisters, we were never treated right during our sojourn in this process of enslavement and dehumanization, colonization, brutality, oppression, police brutality, mob attacks, you name it. We've been through the whole thing, lynchings and, you know, police frame-ups, and just, you know, it's just overwhelming when you understand what we've had to face as a people, deliberate institutional racism within the school systems. I mean, these things are proven facts. These are not things that anybody's making up. In the workplace, doesn't matter where you look, it's there. And I'm pretty sure there's some good white teachers out there. But in truth, brothers and sisters, we need to be in front of our children as teachers. They need to see themselves reflected back at them. And I'll tell you something about teaching, brothers and sisters. To be an effective teacher, you must truly love the student. You must love the student. And unfortunately, a lot of these teachers, and you can't blame them, they're not in love with the students. They don't love them, brothers and sisters. They're picking up a wage. They're rushing to get home to deal with their unruly children, get some fast food or whatever they're doing, okay? But you got to love the student. And by love, I mean you got to want to see that student literally climb on your shoulders and go further than where you got. This is part and parcel of what's necessary to be an effective teacher, especially of these young Black boys and girls. These are some of the things that we've been exposed to. These are the kind of images that we have seen all our lives. White Jesus, England's green and pleasant land, the nice Bobby on the beat, speaking to the children. These are the Dixon of Dock Green. These are the things that we've grown up with. They've taught us. Even now in America, in certain parts of America, the Americans believe that the police here are so quaint, because they don't carry guns. They've got a little stick. You really, let me tell you something. You see this man, he's so deceptive, and the police are unarmed. No, they're not. No, they're not. You go all the way back to Sherlock Holmes. When he needed to get a gun, he could get a gun and he would have a gun, okay? These people have never been unarmed, okay? They've always had arms. They've always, if it's necessary, been able to reach and get something in order to wreak havoc with those that are in their custody, okay? And if they use their hands and their feet and their Dr. Martin boots, some of us have had the imprint of the boot on our face. Okay, this is the reality, but this is the image that is portrayed around the world. And like I said, you got people like I've literally heard people in America talking about the quaint, nice English policeman, having no idea, no clue that even in America, where it's very much the states are very gun orientated, and you've got the Second Amendment, the right to carry arms or bear arms or whatever. Whereas in this country, you don't have nothing like that. But let me tell you something. When they have an opportunity, I'm talking about the police, to shoot you here, oh man. See, some of them police in the States, I mean, they're trigger happy as well. But you got a whole heap of them who, because they understand the gun, they're not necessarily so quick to pull that trigger. But here, I mean, some of these guys, they're just itching to shoot somebody down because they've got that lawful authority, or so they believe at this present time. Rule Britannia. Britannia rules the waves. This is what we've been indoctrinated with all our lives. This is how we've grown up. Okay, you got the white man and his dog and his cat and his wife and child. This is what we see. These are the images that many of us have grown up around. And again, in America, I've been in New York and I've been in Washington and I've been in Detroit and some other places where, you got Black communities where it's like solid Black. You don't see no white people. We haven't got nothing like that here in the UK. We live cheek by jowl with white people, with, upstairs, downstairs, you name it, it's all mixed up here. And when you have these kind of images, then before you know it, if that's what you're feeding on, it becomes a thing where, especially if they are holding and occupying all of the superior positions, that becomes your reality. Then we got the mother of parliaments, Parliament, democracy. Britain is the democracy, spread democracy all around the world. Well, where's the democracy with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan being banned from this country since 1986. Where's the democracy in that? Because the last time I looked, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has never been convicted of a single crime. Been married to the same woman now for well in excess of 50 odd years, 60 years. Well, how is he banned? And then some of the brothers and sisters here took the British government to court and won the case. And the judge said that the ban should be lifted. And then they moved the goalpost and said, no, we executive privilege. See, so when they want to break their own law to do injustice to Black people, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if it wasn't for that man, one, I wouldn't have nothing to say right now. Two, I'd probably be dead now based on the trajectory of my life before I heard and met that man. So why are you banning a man like that, a beautiful, powerful man of God like that, who offers a word to a people who have been destroyed as a human reality, giving that people an opportunity to regroup and to rebuild and to reconstitute themselves and to become a whole people again? Why are you banning, man? Why are you banning? He hasn't done nothing to you. They talked about, they were worried he may not be conducive to the public good. Minister Farrakhan may cause riots, he may cause disturbances, but yet you can't point to one meeting in America out of hundreds of thousands of meetings that he has been conducting for over 65 years. You cannot point to one where there's been one hint of trouble. See, this is you're dealing with an absolute liar. In Jamaica, it's a liar. Let's just say how it is, okay? But this is the reality, brothers and sisters, of why separation is absolutely necessary. Because only, and again, some of us think, if we separate, then we're going to be, by ourselves. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, you'd be surprised what Black people can do when Black people get together in love with one another. That's what Black Wall Street was all about. And it was doing so well that they got jealous. The white people got jealous because it was rivaling their towns and their cities. It wasn't some ghetto or some crazy place. It was a beautiful place, beautiful environment. But when they saw the level of prestige that was coming out of this place, when they saw the level of achievement and production that was going on, they manufactured an excuse to go in and destroy the people, killing hundreds of people in the process. Look, brothers and sisters, we need to come out of her, okay? Many of our parents, they came here from the Caribbean and they literally believed that the streets would be paved with gold. This is what we came expecting. This is your mother country. I remember when I was getting ready to come, my father and mother had come already and they left myself and my little brother back there. And, we were supposed to be coming over. Then I had these grown men saying to me, you're going to England, you're going to be an Englishman. And I don't know what they're talking about, to be honest with you. But, everybody just seems so happy. Man, I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, I always wonder, why did our parents even come here? But we know why. It was for economic reasons. They felt that they could come and better themselves. And most of our parents came with that traditional 5-year plan. They were just going to come for 5 years, make some money, go back and take care of their families. And then they ended up staying here, some to die, and some 40, 50, 60 years. It's a real shame because nothing that we planned within this system in terms of allowing this system to help us to achieve our goals. No, brothers and sisters, because we're trying the wrong thing. We have to separate. I want you to think about a whole people being captured in Africa, brought on a westerly course in chains in the holds of ships, brutalized from beginning to end, losing our names, our language, our culture, our God. Everything was stripped from us, brothers and sisters, all of our dignity, everything. And then I want you to imagine this scenario that a few hundred years later, we start to enjoy the prison. We've forgotten that we were prisoners of war. We've forgotten that we were brutalized into accepting this as a reality. And even though we've accepted this as a reality, it's not the reality. It's a reality, but it's not the reality. There's another reality, brothers and sisters, a reality that comes from God. There's another reality that's laid out in the scriptures that you and I must learn how to walk into. You know, they thought the pavements were going to be paved with gold, but this is one of the signs I saw the other day in Westminster. I wonder if I can read it. It says, this area is being monitored for street fouling. Anyone urinating or defecating may be subject to arrest. This is in Westminster. This is a sign that's up on the street. Not dogs doing it, but people defecating and urinating on the street, on the pavements, brothers and sisters. This is the kind of place where we live. And, you know, in a world like this, everything is shiny on the outside, okay? You know, in the Caribbean, we're the complete opposite. I'm sure it's the same as in Africa as well, where we're like, for instance, our Dutch pot, we have a Dutch pot. The outside of the pot is black, it's dirty, but the inside of that pot is crystal clear and clean. They're the complete opposite here. The outside, they shine it up, make you think it's clean. The inside, dirty. It's a completely different mentality and culture, brothers and sisters. These are by way of contrast, what we were taught about ourselves, okay? This is the Abengi savages. These are the way in which they depicted Africans and Black people. And many of us in the West, we fell for all of that, and we started to look down on our brothers and sisters from the continent, calling them all kinds of ugly names because we felt superior. Remember what Carter G. Woodson said? What does it say here? It says, with mouths and lips as large as those of a full-grown crocodile. This is how they're depicting Black people. Then you got one here where they've got the white man in the pot, and you know, obviously we're cannibals and we're boiling up the white man. This is how we've been depicted, and you know, we don't appreciate how deep all of that goes. We might think, oh, it's just a cartoon. No, it's not just a cartoon. Okay, cartoons are very, very powerful things, and you know, animations are very, very powerful things. Things like The Simpsons and them kind of things. And those of you who watch them, kind of powerful, man. Comics and comic books, and so much is done within the frame of those types of publications, which are aimed at young people in particular. Come on, man. You got the white man here, who's the great white hunter with all the millions of Africans around him, you know, holding up the tusks from the elephants that they slaughtered wholesale, stealing ivory and taking it out of the continent. Now they've become the #1 conservationists. Now they want to protect the elephants. They want to protect the tigers in India. They want to protect the lions, really. But before, you were the #1 killers of these creatures. And then, you know, we're depicted in mud huts and so on and so forth. This is the reality. When you juxtapose the images that we have seen of ourselves in these societies and the images of them and how they depict us, it's deep, and it's much deeper than what I'm breaking down. Like I said, I'm just really touching the surface here, dear brothers and sisters. You know, this was what they showed us instead of showing us the reality of the Black God or the Black Jesus or the Black Christ, because that's the reality, brothers and sisters. But we were never shown these kinds of images. But did you know that in Poland and in Rome and all these places, They actually, the Pope himself and many of these cardinals and many of the Christians in these European countries, they bow down to a black Madonna and Christ, a black Madonna and child. And in some places, the black Madonna and the foot of the child has been kissed so much that it's worn away, because they know the true identity and the reality of Christ and the reality of God and the reality of the children of God. They know. A lot of these people are very, very wise. They know, but unfortunately, we don't. They never showed us this. And again, you know, we've all seen the images of Egypt and whatever, but I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, my God, man, when you really study into the actual facts of what you're looking at, you know, like when you look, for instance, at the colors, the blues, these are not the best pictures that I've used here. The blues and the reds that have been painted into like the headpiece and whatever. You're talking about stuff that's in excess of 5,000 years old. And when you look at the paint, it looks like it was painted yesterday. But there's no house that they can paint here or anything else that they can paint that they don't have to repaint within a couple of years or a few years, because that paint will begin to fade or do some other stuff, crack or whatever. But look, man, I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, we've been very, very, very miseducated about Africa, about black people, about original people, about the past and what the past looked like, as opposed to what they've told us that it was, which was primitive coming into the modern era. No, brothers and sisters, it's the wrong way around. We were not coming from primitive conditions. We were coming from such a high place. Did you know that right now, as we speak, we are what's called fallen man and woman? We've fallen from such a high place. Do you know that once upon a time, we could communicate via telepathy? I don't want to go too deep, man. You know, brothers and sisters, we were such an awesome, awesome people, and we've got to get back, okay? Come out of her, my people. You know, again, it's not a great picture, but it's only when you go to places like Abu Simbel in Egypt and these other places, and you see the size of these edifices, when you see the size of these monuments, when you see the size and the structure of these buildings and the stonework and the size of the stone, and it's impossible to say how they were constructed, how the stones were moved, how they were carved. It's because everything that they tell you is conjecture, and guess what? They do not know, because we had equipment that they don't even possess today, brothers and sisters. This is the genius and the majesty of the black man and woman. This is us. Just think about how we were dressing our heads, our crown, the way that looked. I mean, that's like a lion man. Okay, that, you know, just think about the majesty of that look. And they, you know, brothers and sisters, one of the reasons why they tried to paint the Egyptians white, tried to give this impression that, oh, they were Middle Eastern people or white people or some other people that came in and they're not indigenous to the African continent, is because they understand something, man, about the majesty of black people. And under no circumstances must we get this idea into our heads that that's us. But make no mistake about it, beloved family, that is us, okay? The Sphinx, what they call it is Abu al-Haw. I think that's how you say it in Arabic, and it means the father of all. I mean, my God, you know, and it's a black man's head on the body of a lion. And many of the archaeologists, they're saying that they believe that this is even older than the pyramids, and some of them have dated it going back 10, 15,000 years or whatever. But the point is, brothers and sisters, that was left in the desert as a sign to tell somebody something about what they're looking at. And I don't know if you all know the story about when Napoleon and the French got to Egypt and they saw clearly that these were black people because they got black nose like your brother's nose that's talking to you right now. They literally aimed their cannons. They were instructed to aim the cannons at the nose and blast away, keep blasting away till they could break off the noses. That's why you see many of the statues in Egypt with noses missing, because that's one of the identification marks that shows that this was in fact, indeed, black people. But again, not all of us have got that kind of nose. Look at this nose. Look at the statue. Look at the sister. Come on, man. You know, brothers and sisters, when you look at us as a people, like you look at white, what you need to do is start looking at white people and understand that white people come from us. Okay, we produce them. They're our children. That's who they are, by the way. And you need to stop treating white people like they are our fathers and mothers, because they're not. They are our children, and we've been asleep in the house and they've been running amok. And it's time for the parents to wake up and take charge of the house. Because you see this world, brothers and sisters, the condition and the state that it's in, that's because children run it. Children run this place right now. That's why they got all of these weapons and mass destruction, and they've had these wars, and they're constantly going from one war to another. It's one crisis after another. But show me the gun or the weapon with the black man's name on it. See, that's just not us, okay? But they just can't help themselves. And if it's not one thing, then it's another thing. And it's constantly unfolding. See, now the terror level has been raised again. Come on, man. Come on. And they're in complete denial about if there is such a thing as terrorism. Where did it come from? How did it start? Who are the people who are perpetrating these things? And why are they perpetrating these things? They never want to deal with the why. They never want to really deal. Oh, it's because they hate us because we live well. Shut up. Stop it. Something was done. You have left these islands and you've gone into other people's places and created absolute tyranny and mayhem. And, you know, you got all of these Asian people here now from the Indian subcontinent. You got all these Africans now from the continent of Africa. You got all these Caribbeans here now. See, you told us that this is our mother country. Now you're vexed. Now you're upset because we're making this home. Well, you can be as vexed as you want, but I'm telling you, man, it's over. It's done. Because according to the demographers, the planet's going to be brown in the next few years. The whole planet's going to be brown. We'll go into that on another occasion when we deal with that particular issue. But brothers and sisters, you know, I thought I would bring in some of the modern faces as well. Look at that face. Come on, man. She's not as pretty as my wife, but come on. Look at that face. Do we begin to appreciate who we are? Imagine people looking at black people and they want to laugh at us and they want to put us down, and some of us fall for that, man. Some of us start behaving like we're inferior. Come on, brothers and sisters. Oh, that's not us. That's not our identity. Our identity is not inferior. Our identity is beautiful. Our identity is the best. Okay? That's who we are. These sisters, man. You all know this face. But just look at us. This is my point. My point is that when I see black people, I'm in awe. Okay? When I look in the mirror, man, I'm happy, brothers and sisters. Okay, I'm happy with these lips. I'm happy with this nose. I'm happy with these shoulders, square shoulders. I'm happy, man. And you should be happy. You should accept yourself, accept your own, and be yourself. Stop this rejection mentality where we're always constantly trying to be other than ourselves. That's what gets us into trouble, because we are not living as who we really are. We're constantly looking for validation from somewhere and something else and someone else. Look at his face, man. Come on. Do we even know who we were, and more so now, who we are today? Look at this black brother. We're beautiful, beautiful people, and we only are ugly based on circumstances, based on the fact that we are in an alien environment, and sometimes we get so immersed in it that we begin to reflect it. That's why these rappers telling you about, oh, they're only reflecting the hood, you know, when they come out with some of the stuff that they come out with. So, brothers and sisters, in the Nation of Islam, we have supreme wisdom. Okay, and in our supreme wisdom book, in lesson number 1, question 8, we're asked, why does the devil keep our people apart from his social equality? That's a good question. See, because again, some of us, you hear some of these black people who are in boardrooms, and some of these black people who are executives, and some of these black people who have reached high places within the society, their workplace or whatever. But I hear the question being asked, how come we haven't got more football managers, man? And, blah, blah, blah. And these black people are talking about a glass ceiling where they can't seem to go beyond a particular point. Look, family, why does the devil keep our people apart from his social equality? See, because there's a reason why he has, up to this point, prevented too many of us from entering into that sanctum sanctorium of his social equality. More and more of us are pushing our ways in there now. And, what's the sister's name who married Harry? Meghan got in there. Meghan jumped straight back out again. I'm telling you, man, she saw some stuff. They hate her guts. But understand this, beloved family, the answer that we're given in our supreme wisdom is because he does not want us to know how filthy he is and all his affairs. He is afraid because when we learn about him, we will run him from among us. That sounds like a Jamaican bit of writing. We'll run him. We'll run him from among us. Socialist means to advocate a society of men or groups of men for one common cause. Equality means to be equal in everything. But that's why, brothers and sisters, he tries to keep us out of that, because there's a lot of filth that goes on up there. So pedophilia is in the news, and historical pedophilia and all of this. And, I think most of us, when we think about a pedophile, some of us start conjuring up somebody skulking around in the dark in an alleyway somewhere. No, brothers and sisters. If there is one like that, he learned it from some highfalutin ones in high places. Okay? These are well-to-do people. These are people wearing pinstripes and maybe chauffeur-driven in the back of Bentleys and Rolls Royces. Okay? This is what you need to understand about some of us. We're desperate to push ourselves into those circles. We just can't wait to be friends with Prince Charles. Really? I warn you, brothers and sisters, we touched on this last week. I warn you, I wouldn't go there if I was you, because you don't know what you are getting yourself into. Let me push on. Unfortunately, many of us, especially our so-called entertainers, have taken a deep dive into this alien and depraved culture and are trying against the will of God to make it our own. This is not our own, brothers and sisters. It really, really isn't. Did you look in the chat? This is not our own. We need to stop embracing all of this stuff, because it really leads to some diabolical things.
Yo, not nice. Oh, yeah, do
this I'm working, brother.
What?
Work.
Where work I go? I that you pick, that never a night. Me feel for some NSC. VSOP. You know, want to see no walk, no JOB. Call some girl from the...
I mean, I'm not going to play a lot of it, brothers and sisters, but man's singing about NSC, then he's talking about him don't want to walk. You don't want to work. You see, this is what's promoted for our people today, to
Gaza or JOB, them know me unruly.
basically worthless. And this is what passes
like a penalty. If you diss me, you're gonna pay the penalty. Fat sexy gal, I'm a referee.
Normal behavior. And let me just say this to us about the problem that we have with the music. You see, brothers and sisters, we are a people who are rhythmic. We are musical by nature. It's just our nature. Music flows from us. And the problem is, you know, it's one thing to tell a lie. Okay, that's bad, you know, when you just lie. But did you know that there's an even worse kind of lie than just lying? The worst lie that you can tell is when you mix truth with falsehood. So when you tell part truth, part lie, and you give it as the truth. Because then what that does is that the truthful part of it will hook the person in, and quite often that will really cause them to be unable to realize that they've just been lied to. That's the horrible thing about mixing truth with falsehood. Well, brothers and sisters, when you mix a powerful beat, but with filthy, low down lyrics, what it does to the listener is it then creates a dilemma or confusion within the person, where we naturally want to respond to the beat. But the words now accompanying that beat go deep because they're riding on the beat. This is Satan, man, I'm telling you. And he is promoting this big time. And some of us are so desperate for recognition and some money or whatever that, man, oh my God, brothers and sisters. I mean, and please, you know, this brother, he's called Pop Can. I'm not picking on him in particular, because to be honest with you, when I was looking at this issue, I could have picked out 1,000 different people. That's how bad it is now in terms of the so-called performing artist, how low down and corrupt a lot of the stuff that we're doing is. So much of it as well passing as so-called mainstream music. It's not like on the fringes. This is mainstream stuff, and it's diabolical, brothers and sisters. So I'm not picking on this brother in particular. I just used him as an example, as a sample of the type of thing that's out there. As a people, we are in deep trouble because we are continuously offending against the commandments, laws, and statutes of Almighty God. This is real, brothers and sisters, because I know we can come on here on the Imagination Show. We can point the finger at the white man all night long and feel good. Oh yeah, the white man's horrible. The white man's the devil. The white man's this, the white man's that. But you got to understand that that's not the purpose of this program, this show. The purpose is to get us to look at us, man. Because what we're doing, having been corrupted, corralled into this lifestyle, is that we are in many cases worse than what they're doing. We are the perpetrators of a lot of this stuff now, brothers and sisters, because he will do things on a certain level, but then when we get hold of it, we take it to a whole different level. Look at this brother. Calls himself Little Nas X, wearing a dress. And they're really promoting this brother. They've taken the promotion of this one onto another level, all over the United States and all over the world. I saw on the side of a bus, he was on there one time. This brother has gone big time into some kind of devil worshiping type of thing. And of course, we know the devil don't look like that, but he believes the devil looks like that. So again, see, doesn't matter what he looks like, just the fact that they can get us to dress up like that, to depict ourselves like that, put in 666 on a pair of trainers made by Nike, by the way. So Nike is sponsoring this corruption, this evil. This poor young brother has taken the craziness onto another level, aided and abetted by the satanic system, brothers and sisters. And, you know, in this particular video, he's seen being sodomized by the devil. This is the kind of stuff that we're putting on video for children and young people. See, most of his audience are young, beloved. This is what you got to understand. It's not like, you know, you can say, well, you know, old people are being exposed to this. No, it's the youth. And then we wonder why some of our children are coming home and looking at us sideways because of what they're watching on YouTube, what they're watching on social media, what they're feeding on, and the language. My God, again, I'm not going to play much of it.
I seen it you 5 years in Montero State Prison.
And some of the imagery. And this is what I'm showing you now is just the tip of the iceberg. I can't show you. I can't let you listen to a lot of the lyrics because it's just filthy. It's just too much. You know, this is the brother. He's dressed as a woman. Even here in this one at the bottom here, he's saying that he's pregnant. He's showing a baby bump or whatever, you know, and all of this, all of these depictions. And this, I don't know, how do I describe her? Her name is Helen DeGeneres, big chat show host in America. She's like his #1 fan. You know, she's really promoting him every minute he's on her show, and she's bigging him up and talking about how she loves him. But he's not her type because, of course, she's a lesbian and he's supposed to be gay. And the whole thing, brothers and sisters, is just one hot mess. But this is where we are. And there are a lot of our young people, a lot of our people traveling this particular road. The system is either brutalizing us or compromising us. And this is what we've got to appreciate as well about this process. See, because it's one thing to be brutalized by the system and knowing, okay, that's the enemy, you know, and I like to be able to identify my enemy. But what you've got to understand now, like this man, what's his name? I can't remember this man's name, who wrote the book about the economic hitman. His name will come back to me. But what they do with countries, the IMF and that's the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank and these international bankers, is that they target countries, lend them money, and lend them so much money that they know that the country will default on the payment. And when the country defaults on the payment, they go into the country and then tells the president or the prime minister or whoever is running the country that they now have to compromise on their sovereignty and they've got to give away elements of their sovereign reality in their country, they can dictate to the government what they can and cannot do within their own country because they owe to these international bankers. That's one way that they compromise nations, not just individuals, but whole nations have been compromised like this. Many, many African nations have succumbed to this, and many Caribbean nations have succumbed to this, and many Latin American countries have succumbed to this. This is real. And whenever they resist, see, Venezuela, when you see, you wonder, these countries that are in the news, when they resist, you hear about them in the news and their dictatorships and their despots and they're oppressing their own people. See, Syria was a resistor. You don't understand, brothers and sisters. Iran is a resistor, okay? But they're trying to compromise. They can't just outright brutalize the country, which they do because they impose sanctions or whatever. They deprive the people of being able to get medicines for their children and all manner of essential things that are needed within the country. Before they bombed Iraq in 2003, Iraq was under sanctions for 12 years, brothers and sisters. Saddam Hussein couldn't fly a plane in his own country for over 12 years because America and Britain and the so-called allies dominated the airspace over Iraq. That's how locked down the thing was. And they still lied to the world and said he's got weapons of mass destruction. Okay, lied, and then ultimately attacked what they knew was a demoralized and weakened state country, and the rest is history. You see the state of Iraq today. You see the state of Libya today. You see the state of Syria today. These are warmongers. But when they're not brutalizing you, just because they're not in your face, understand, brothers and sisters, that more dangerous than the brutalization is the compromising. Be careful, because now they're in the business of compromising people. And so whether we like it or not, brothers and sisters, I want you to know that Almighty God Allah is busy at work, separating us from the satanic mind and the world of evil and corruption. Many of you are upset about COVID-19. Many of you are talking the language of some of those people themselves, saying, oh, I can't wait to get back to normal. Really, brothers and sisters? What was normal? When was it normal? Was it when we were protesting, no justice, no peace? When was it normal? Are we really desperate to get back to that? Some of us can't wait to run into these nightclubs and these pubs and clubs and all of this kind of stuff all over. Look, man, let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Social distancing, COVID-19, Almighty God Allah is separating people. He is putting the sheep on the right hand and the goat on the left hand. If you don't understand, you need to get to understand what's going on. There's a bigger power involved in what we see unfolding before us today, beloved family. There's a bigger thing taking place, and God is involved in it, okay? And separation is a part of that process. Beloved family, we are coming to the end. I hope everybody is good. I hope that, something that we've shared, that we've said has been of benefit. I hope that, you've been able to really understand what it is that we're trying to get across this evening, and that ultimately we are all going to strive hard to come together and do something for ourselves. So it's time for separation, brothers and sisters. African Americans buy Georgia land to build a town for pro-Black people. See, these are headlines now that are appearing all over North America. There are some beautiful, big things going on in America and other parts of the world, okay? Black Americans are leaving their homes. Yeah, some people are giving up their homes to start their own all-Black communities all over again. About 19 Black families have pooled their money to buy nearly 97 acres of land. This is what's going on. This is how the people have left the comfort of their homes. They're camping out. They're living like this because they're now developing the land. And this is awesome, awesome what's going on, because See, we got to get some of this land that we can call our own, brothers and sisters. This is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said over and over and over again. This is really, really critically important. Those of you who know Brother Ben, Dr. Ben X, and others, they've purchased over 100 acres, and they call it the hereafter farmland. Let's just hear very quickly a couple of words from Dr. Brother Ben.
All right, family, so we here. I want to do the official announcement, but I want to let her do the announcement. So go ahead and tell us your name. You ain't got to tell them where we at, how many acres, and what we're going to be working with.
All right, well, we're working with 5 acres. My name is Shamara Gilmore, and we are in Texas, whoop whoop, and we're about to get it going here at the farms.
There it is. Let's get it, y'all. Y'all see that in the background, so listen. If you
This
know
is
how to
land,
grow
brothers and
food, you're in the
sisters.
Texas area,
That
DFW area,
black people,
you know how to grow food, you know how to help till the land, you
in order
into
to change
agribusiness, and know
our
how we can get this
reality.
thing
We,
going.
UK, we
Let's
got
work.
to think.
We're gonna have some animals soon, God willing, some cows, some horses,
Let
and through
me
unity, we're gonna spit all of the experience.
rush to the end. So, brothers and sisters, please check out the ADDI. Okay, that's the African Diaspora Development Institute. Right, make a note of it, brothers and sisters, and go and check them out. Okay, this is important. There's lots of things. I'm only pointing out a couple of things, but there's lots of things going on the planet right now, which is all about coming out of her, extricating ourselves, and you've got to familiarize yourself with what's going on. The African Diaspora Development Institute was born out of the desire to bring Africa to the world and the world to Africa. There currently is no one resource to easily find information about Africa. ADDI aims to become that resource. We have come to the realization that the current status of the African economy is due to the mass exodus of the African diaspora out of Africa. And this is something that's been going on for so many years. You know, it's called a brain drain. We left the Caribbean, we come out, take all our skills to America, Canada, Britain, whatever. But now is the time, brothers and sisters, to be returning to the Caribbean, returning to Africa, returning to those indigenous lands that are ours, and building something for ourselves. It continues. The exodus began with the loss of Africa's children through slavery 400 years ago, followed by the recent migrants who left Africa in search of greener pastures or running away from famine and wars. And most of those famines and wars have been man-made, manufactured, brothers and sisters, from the West. The children of Africa have ended up in the Americas, Australia and New Zealand, Europe and Asia. African heads of state are calling on all people of African descent, African diaspora, to come back home and build the Africa that we want. Beloved family, we got excited over a fictional Wakanda. I'm saying, let's create a real Wakanda. Wherever we are, wherever in our local communities, we should be building community right now, brothers and sisters. It is now time for us to begin thinking anew with a view to a brand new reality that we are more than capable of establishing through Black African love and unity. We have no more excuses. We must separate and become an independent people. Dear family, this is the charge that is on us today as a people. If we fail to unite and separate from our open enemies, while continuing to hope and pray that they will give up their nature. Think about what we're hoping and praying for, that they're going to give up their very nature. It's not going to happen. That's like asking a dog not to bark and change their wicked ways. Brothers and sisters, we will continue to incur the wrath and punishment of Almighty God Allah. Did you know that God don't want us bowing down to nobody and nothing but him? And when he sees us weak and decrepit like this, family, you know, we're wondering why we're going through what we're going through, but it's because we don't understand that we are literally insulting our God. Time to wake up, family. This Black Friday deals, be careful who is calling you. Just look at the hand holding the megaphone, okay? Because it's not, see, we're running to Black Friday deals. See, keep your money in your pocket, man. Let's pool our resources. Let's do something more constructive for ourselves and not just run to these deals that we think is a deal when in reality, it's just another way to get us to spend our money and throw our money on foolishness. Thank you, beloved family, for listening. And may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace as I found you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, family. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for. I feel pretty good because things went pretty well this evening. Apart from again some sound problems at the beginning, I really feel like things went a lot better this evening, and I'm looking forward to the continuation of this process. So really want to thank you, dear family, for tuning in. Let me see what I've got here. I want to thank Brother Jeffrey. Brother Jeffrey is on again with us this evening, Brother Jeffrey Daniel. And Tetsu Abe, South Florida. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Jay. I want to thank Akeem Muhammad in New York. We want to thank General Louverture, who was here with us last week, I believe. I want to thank Brother Carl Brown in Miami. Big up to my brother. I stopped in Miami one time when I was on my way to Jamaica, and I really wanted to spend a bit more time there, but we didn't spend too much time, but it was nice and tropical there. Ismaila Cisse from the Gambia, living in Finland at the moment. Oh, really? Saying that his sister used to listen to me? Well, we don't know if it's a sister or brother. We always make that mistake. But somebody in the Gambia anyway, sending greetings, and we want to send those greetings right back to yourself. Tony Kiwuti in South Africa. Big up my brothers and sisters in South Africa. I really got a special place in my heart for my brothers and sisters in South Africa, for all of my brothers and sisters, wherever they're found on the continent. But, you know, you've been through so much in that place in South Africa, and unfortunately, you're still going through a lot, and unfortunately, not enough has changed. And so our hearts go out to you, and our support is with you, and we're standing with you. And we pray that you, all of the Black South Africans, will come together in order to free themselves from this continued yoke of colonization that continues in that place. I want to thank our family in Las Vegas and also in Richmond, Virginia, and Louisiana. Wonderful brothers and sisters. I feel so blessed and highly favored by God that you have come out and spend this time with us this evening. I want to thank all of my Zoom family, all of my brothers and sisters on the Zoom, and once again saying that I'm looking forward to touching base with you all again next week, same time, same place, 6:30, and that's it. Take care, family. Also, we got somebody from Alabama who's also on as well. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care, family. Assalamu alaikum.